Hey Mark, I got an idea.
Why are you bothering me? You hear the beeping? I'm making my breakfast. What do you want?
You should do a video about Chris's knife from Cerberus Knives, his prototype.
Well, that hasn't even been released yet. How am I going to do a video about this knife when it hasn't even been released yet?
You never used to look stuff up. Now you look stuff up. You used to go off script. Who cares? Just do it. Shoot from the hip.
Well, I mean, I guess that's true. We did used to do videos where we just shot from the hip. Didn't look up any specs. I suppose we could do it, but can I eat my breakfast first? Alright guys, as you can see from the intro, PDM talked me into something. So as soon as I get done warming up my food, drinking my coffee and eating my breakfast, we're gonna crack into this. My friend Chris's prototype from Artisan. If you're watching on headphones, turn down the volume, because here comes the music. So guys, this is the Arion. This is a knife designed by my friend Christian Ortiz over at Cerberus Knives. If you know, we did a video at Cerberus Knives. Chris is making all kinds of aftermarket scales for knives, mostly Spydercos right now, but I think there's a big change coming in the works that some of you all that follow me might find appealing. So this is a prototype that he has. As of right now, I do not have specs. So there's a good chance that somewhere right around in here is going to be a spec sheet. So I think I'm probably going to put it like right here. So this is just pretty much a preview. I've been carrying this knife for almost a week now. So you guys know that I like to have a knife in and carry it for a while, but I need to get this out because we got to get some videos going so we can get some buzz, so we can try and get this knife into production. Because if you guys want to see this, we've got to get videos up and shared. So this is going to go out to a few people. So this is a aperture only flipper, a lot like a Spyderco. It's like Spidey Flick in a Spyderco. It does not have a flipper tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this around, take a look at it. Like I said, I don't have any specs, but we'll get some weights. And we'll just take some general measurements. I'll do some general comparisons. This is a quick overview video. I really do like this knife. There's only two small things about this knife that I don't like. And we'll get into it. And the thing is, the benefits of the other things about this knife really outweigh the two small issues I have with it. Because all in all, this is a really great knife. So let's go ahead and we'll turn this around and we'll take a quick look at it. And we'll do an in-depth video about this knife, like all the specs and stuff, once it gets released. So yeah, I really like this knife. My friend Ashton really likes the knife. There is an issue that I do know a lot of people have. I'm not going to discredit it. I think it's silly, but I do understand there's a lot of people that have that issue. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's turn this around, take a good close look at this knife. All right, guys, let's take a good look at this. This is a very, very well thought out, well designed full-size frame lock flipper without a flipper tab. So like I said, it is Spidey Flick only, the aperture. I kind of wish it had a flipper tab, but I think it would detract from the lines of the knife. You can definitely flip this very easily using the aperture. So what do you got here? Full titanium frame lock. It is thin, nice and thin. Full backspacer. Nice little area here that gives it some contrast and contours. Titanium pocket clip that is almost a deep carry style pocket clip, and I'm going to tell you why I really like this pocket clip as opposed, like if everyone was doing deep carry or deeper carry like this, I'd be fine with everybody doing it. So the blade on this is an AR RPM 9, and it's a pretty interesting blade shape. It is a blade that comes down. It's like a clip point, Comes down to an aggressive tip, but still has a good bit of belly. And with this wide blade, it's ground relatively thin behind the edge. As you can see, there is, let's get some light on it. There is Christian's logo, Cerberus Knives. And like I said, it is in AR RPM 9. This is to be done by Artisan. And I'm not gonna lie to you, they do a really good job with their titanium. I had not gotten to see a lot of their full titanium knives, but this has got a lot of scratches and stuff. Christian's been carrying it. I've been carrying it. This is a prototype. It was to be kicked around to see how you liked it. But their blast finish, let's see if I can get a better look at it. Their blast finish on their knives is really nice. It's almost like a glass bead blast. Lines on this knife, super, super clean. Super comfortable in hand. I'm not gonna lie to you, this knife just kind of melts into your hand. And the thing about it is, it's not super fancy, it's not over the top, but it is attractive. It's got some cool angular lines to it, but nothing on this knife is a hot spot. The blade cuts well. It is, like I said, it is kind of forward aggressive drop point or clip point with a nice belly. But like I said, nicely ground, very well done. It's in the AR RPM 9, so I like it because I like that steel. I really do like that steel a lot. And so you look at it, like I said, full backspacer, running on bearings with a steel lock bar insert. Now these run on ceramic bearings, and the ceramic bearings on these are really smooth. I'm not always a fan of ceramic bearings. I think that the additional cost really doesn't get you anywhere. On this knife, they're super smooth. They are super smooth. Action on this is great. It's nice and smooth if you pop it past the detent. I have a problem. My hand is too big for me to do it the way I want, to like thumb roll it. So I have to take this finger, break the detent, and then roll it open. As far as flipping, just effortless flipping. So let's talk about the points about this knife that I do really, really like. Like I said, I like all the contours and shapes. There's no hot spots on this. There's no hard edges. Everything's been contoured and filleted around all of these little angles. The blade shape is great. The way it's nested in, it does not take up too much space in the pocket. The pocket clip, super, super, super comfortable for a, like, you guys know that I'm not a fan of the deep carry pocket clips, not so much because where it puts it in my pocket, but more because most of the deep carry pocket clips are really skinny at this end, and then they ramp way up to a great big loop, and it feels uncomfortable in my hand. It makes a pinch point, a hot spot, and I don't like it. On this knife, relatively deep carry with a very comfortable feel in hand. When I complain about pocket clips, guys, it's never an aesthetic issue. It's always how it feels in hand, because as you guys know, for me, a knife is a tool, and I look at it as such, and if it's a tool I'm going to use a lot, I want it to be comfortable, and this is really comfortable. Now, there's only two bad points, like I said, about this knife. One of them for me is the fact that the size of this knife, like I said, with my hands being as big as they are, I can't just slow roll it out like I can a Spyderco. I have to flip it, or like I said, I have to break the detent with my middle finger and then pinch it, break it loose, and then roll it out, which I'm fine with. And the only other issue I really have with it is how narrow it is then getting into release. If I was carrying this is not my only issue. This would not be something that I could really carry on a job site if I was wearing gloves, because I would have a hard time getting down in there. It's fairly narrow at lockup. So that's my only issue. I'm gonna ask Christian, like, I'm gonna make a recommendation. I'm gonna say it in the video right now. Maybe raise this lip up a little bit so you have something to catch on. I do not have an example of one of the other knives but we can look at how Chris Reeves has theirs. See how there's a higher spot on one side? I can get in there with gloves. That would be the only thing. I'm not saying make like a choil or anything here, but just maybe raise that up ever so slightly. So since we got the Sebenza out, let's go ahead and do a size comparison. Ooh, I hit the tripod every time, guys. I'm gonna stop even editing it out. So in comparison to the Sebenza, side-by-side comparison, you're looking relatively similar. I think they are almost spot on. So that's a Sebenza, large Sebenza 21. And in comparison, this is a Benchmade 940. I like to use that as another comparison. It's a little bit larger than the 940. So all knives that you guys should pretty much know as a size reference for this knife. So let's talk about Christian. Christian makes scales for all kinds of knives, aftermarket scales, high-end stuff. He also is really good in CAD and designs some knives. So let's go ahead, and I wanted to point out one more thing. I forgot before we turn this around. One more thing. Can you see how this pocket clips at a little bit of an angle? And somebody was looking at it that I showed it to, and they're like, oh, wow, it looks like he bent the pocket clip out. And I was like, no, it's kind of intentional. What that does is, if this was straight up and down, this would be the high point sticking up. But what it does is it cants it over. In your pocket, you have the lowest profile up. So it's not going to catch on stuff as readily, and it sits in your pocket, and instead of sitting up like this where you have a high point, you have a rounded point over. And Christian thought that out and did that intentionally so that when the pocket clip is straight up and down in your pocket, you have the lowest profile available at the top. Now, like I said, not such a fan of deep carry. I don't really care where my knife sits in my pocket, so for me, it's not an issue. But I'm going to tell you right now, Ashton and I drastically disagree about some things, and to the point where we will actually get into a yelling argument. And we did last night about one specific thing. And I'm not going to say either one of us was wrong. It's just that we're very passionate about how we feel about things. So there is an issue that I do know a lot of people have with this, and I'm going to point it out. Because Ashton would as well. And I respect his opinion. I personally, it's not a thing for me. It does not matter. But I will point out something that is possibly an issue with people, and I'm gonna talk to Christian about it, and I'm gonna talk to Artisan about it, even on my knife, because in retrospect, having had the argument with Ashton, I do recognize that this is an opinion held by other people, and he's not wrong. It's just that it is so far down on the scope of things that I think about or look at when I make a purchase that it just frustrates me that would be a go or a no-go. For me, how it feels in hand, that's a go, no-go. The way the blade is shaped, go, no-go. How a knife looks, sometimes go, no-go. But let's go ahead and we'll turn this back around and we'll talk about this point. All right, guys, I know it's unusual and rare to see me without my hat. That's what my head looks like, because you never see it. So I talked with Artisan, and the point I'm about to bring up is not really going to affect, because the logo that is on this knife, which is what we're about to talk about, was drastically oversized on this knife by accident. And it's a prototype, so they were like, yeah, we already made it, so let's not really sweat it. So this is a little bit of step in during edit. The video was almost done when I got a message from Russell when I left him a message about this. So keep in mind, take it with a grain of salt. The logo will still be on the knife, just nowhere near as prominent or large. Okay, guys, I decided to do it this way because we're at the wrap-up point. The issue that Ashton has, and I can see it too. I'm not a fan of it, but it's not a showstopper for me. It's not really so much of an issue for me. I really don't care. But billboarding and logos on knives. So I don't dislike it. I have Microtex. I've got Spyderco's and other knives that have a lot of billboarding and logos. The Rat One from Ontario Knife, it's got its logo and everything, and country of origin. But I don't have a problem with it, but I do understand that it does detract. It does detract aesthetically from the knife. And some people, that is a big thing. So I can see that. And like I said, in retrospect, Ashton, this is kind of like an apology, even though I already apologized to you last night. This is kind of an apology because I can see it, but for me, it's not that big a deal. For me, I don't have like dress knives. I don't have anything special that doesn't get used. Even my really special stuff still gets used. So for me, I don't care because I have so many knives that already have logos. Just the fact that this has a large logo on it. Now, I would like to see the maker's, the designer's logo more prominent than the maker's logo. And the fact is that is a really big logo. And I sat and looked at it for about 30 minutes before this, and I'm like, yeah, that's a big logo. That's something that's a simple switch. I'm going to talk to Artisan about it because even on my knife, it's there, and it grabs your eye. And if it's something that people don't like, if it's maybe like a logo that somebody doesn't like, then that might be a go or a no-go. So with that being said, that's really the only issues I see with this knife. I have a hard time thumb rolling it open like I would a Spyderco. That's not that big an issue because the action on it with the flipper tab is great. I will say that I have larger than average hands, and the position I have to get in to actually finger flick it, I then have to reposition a knife. And I think it would be really hard to do that in gloves. Other than that, like I said, just maybe a little lip on this. This knife is still a prototype. This knife has not been released. What we're trying to do is, we would love to see, I love this knife and I want to see it out in the world. I would love to have one of these. It is so comfortable and it cuts well. It sharpens well, it's ground well. It's a really good knife. And so what I'm trying to do is we're trying to get videos out there to show that this knife needs to come out. So you're probably going to see this from me. You're probably going to see it from Bearded Gear, maybe Knives Knives, some other folks. We're trying to get it in front of some people. So fully expect this knife, if it comes out, when it comes out, to really be popular. So guys, that's really all I got on it. Like I said, it's a prototype. While we were talking, Christian actually texted me a picture of spec sheet. So back at the beginning, that's where I'm going to put it. You guys saw I did the little thing. So expect to see some specs. All in all, I mean, great design. It was pretty well thought out. Well, not pretty well, really well thought out. And Christian's a great guy up at Cerberus. I do like his logo. I wish his logo was a little more prominent because it's a kick-ass logo. So, all right, guys. Love you all. Take it easy. I'll see you next time. I'm going to put stuff in the corners, too, by the way. Lindy Lou started a new YouTube channel. I'm going to start linking her in that. So, fully expect to see those links down in the bottom. So, guys, if you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. I love you all. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.